All right, we're good. Thanks for hanging out. I know we're a little delayed, as you all know. Getting a major tournament going is a little bit of a charge, but we're here and we're actually airing from our new shops at Sun Mountain in Wasilla. We're at our command center here, and we've got Gordon. Gordon, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing? I'm good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. I see you are in your gaming den, it looks like.
I am, yes. I was given one room to do whatever I wanted in my house. And so I have to have my video games here. I got a little TV, nice little setup going on.
Yeah, little TV. It's looks pretty big out there. Nice. Well, this is actually our first time doing anything in our new setup here at Shops at Sun Mountain. We're super stoked about it. Really excited to bring the whole public here eventually when we can get there. But for now, we'll have it set up as a virtual tournament. We are getting ready to kick off our first match of Valorant. We'll see where we're at with that. I know we got a couple people waiting in the waiting room.
So you said there's 13 teams. What or what are the levels of like all these guys that are playing here?
You're going to see a little bit of everything. Alaskans, as you know, we're pretty far away from everything. And so one of the things that we can do year round that doesn't matter how the weather is gaming. So we
That's
have a
true.
pretty serious crew. But this is our first time going virtual. So we may have some beginners join us. But I think you'll see some good competition. You should have registered. We probably could have stretched the rules a little bit of only Alaskans.
I
You
could
would
have
have
put
been
a squad
welcome.
in there. I could have put a squad in.
Yeah, I hear that you're the best in the NBA. Have you found anybody who can beat you yet in League of Legends?
I for PC gaming, I think I'm ahead of everybody in the NBA. A lot of the NBA guys, it's interesting. When I first got in the league, I was one of the only ones that played video games pretty hardcore and consistently. Um, I was just it's just like different generations, and then now that was my 10th year in the NBA last year, and everybody plays video games in the NBA. I mean, that's basically what everyone was doing in the bubble. Everybody plays video games, but a lot of them play on console. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
players play on console. Not very many play PC. Certainly not League of Legends or Valorant. Um, so
Yeah, I can imagine. I
Valorant,
can imagine.
I was gonna say Valorant is relatively new style for me. I grew up playing Xbox and playing like Halo, and so I never really played Counter Strike as when I was a kid or growing up, and so this is it. When I first started Valorant, is completely new shooter style for me, but I've since fallen in love with it and have had a lot of fun playing it.
Well, I love that there's this evolution, right? Of like some of the games are one-on-one, and Valorant is a team element, and so there's a little bit of that skill that you have as a traditional athlete and bringing that to Valorant. Do you find that there's a little bit of a correlation there?
I think there's lots of correlations between video games and people would say traditional sports. I think obviously the major difference being it's not nearly as physical, but certainly pressure situations are still the same. You can definitely get nervous if you're in a big time environment like a major tournament like you guys are running. Um, I think the mental side, the strategic side of video games, you have very similar stuff. In basketball, we like to have a strategy, and when you dive deep into esports in the competitive side of video games, you see that professional players and teams they all have coaches, they all have training sessions, practices. A lot of them have training houses where they're playing 8 to 10 hours a day, training and building a game plan for what they're going to do against their opponent. And I think that's really cool. I've always thought that's really cool to see kind of those similarities, and certainly a game like Valorant where it's 5 on 5 that obviously is similar to basketball. And I think what's cool about Valorant is you have like the team aspect of it, where as a squad you're trying to plant the spike or defuse the spike, and so you do have to have these team coordinations that go on, but at the same time you have individual matchups too. Like you seem to be peaking a corner similarly to one specific guy on the other team. You're kind of in a little duel of your own, and that's similar to basketball too. It's a team game, but you have individual matchups that you go to. So I think two correlations there that are pretty similar.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know how much experience you have working with student esports athletes, but we're pretty involved with the high school level here, something we're super proud of. And I bet a lot of the gamers that are tuned in right now are probably our high school athletes. And one thing that we see a lot is that strategy, right? So when they're able to do in-person practices, you've got students behind one another being able to verbally strategize with one another, which I think is probably one of the skills that's the most exciting to see with these esports athletes. Do you see that being super translatable to the sport, to things that you see in the NBA?
Yeah, I think, I'm a little bit older probably than a lot of the quote unquote gamers that are out there now and guys that watch Twitch. And so when I was a kid, none of that was there. There was no Twitch, there was no YouTube. Video games was a passion of mine. If I wasn't playing sports, I was playing video games. But back then, you really couldn't make a career out of it. And I think you're starting to see the transition where kids, students, like you're saying, are able to really put their heart into becoming a professional video game player. And I think all of the things that you need as somebody who would be a professional video game player are things that you can learn to then help you ultimately in life. You mentioned the logical thinking. You mentioned the kind of the strategy, but also the communication of kids observing other teammates or players and helping them. And I think a huge part of professional video games is communication and talking. You got to be able to find out where the other team is at and relay that information to your teammates so you guys can finish the job or do whatever it is that you need to do. And all of that is extremely important in life. And
Yeah.
so I think it's really cool that now colleges are having college scholarships, universities are having scholarships for video games. Like I said, certainly something that wasn't around when I was coming up, but I think it's really cool to see that evolution and see people being able to do that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know we've got gamers that are eager and ready to get started on their match. Are we ready to pull them into their match, guys? Cool. So if we get breaks where I can ask you some more questions, but otherwise, let's get into this. Feel free to
Sure.
commentate with me. You are more of the expert than me, but I watched some YouTube videos, so I'm ready to go. So let's go. Let's bring those gamers on.